It's Friday the 10th of April from Urbis across Greater Manchester. Welcome to Channel M's early evening news. Here are today's headlines. First today, the pain is as fresh as the day he was killed. Words from the family of one of two men killed by members of one of Manchester's most violent gangs as they start lengthy prison sentences. Greater Manchester has rejected plans for a congestion charge. In the last couple of minutes, we've had a statement in from the council leader of Manchester City Council, Sir Richard Leese, saying the referendum has given a very clear outcome. Since then, officials have been considering it. They've drawn up this report, and the water then billowed out onto the floor here and into several other classrooms as well. It's not quite the water world the teachers here have been hoping to be learning about. It's estimated that'll save £30,000. Now that's a lot of biscuits, but the cutbacks don't stop there. It's just coming up to 4:30. Welcome back to Channel M today. Our main headline this afternoon: it could soon be much quicker to travel by train from Manchester to London. Journey times to the capital will be halved to just over an hour if new plans for a high-speed rail link become reality. Network Rail's announced the details, which would include an extra terminal in the city centre. There's no precise route being decided on, though, and it's not yet certain if the proposals, which would take 10 years to complete, will go through. We start tonight with reports. Some of those arrested by anti-terror officers have been seen taking photos and filming themselves outside different locations across Manchester. There's speculation they could have been potential targets of a bomb plot. Despite that, it's not put off shoppers turning out in large numbers. Nina Warhurst has our top story.
I was being sick every time I seen my mum because it was seeing her in that state. And then I went back in hospital, and then I had to come home because he said they'd do an operation on me as an emergency, or you need to go home. And then within a few days I had a breakdown. If she had been brought home a fortnight earlier, we'd have still had her here. We're convinced of that.
Well, it's been 24 hours since I've put the two pictures up of the girls in their pants on my profile, and already I've had 91 friend requests. 3 of those are girls and the rest are men aged between 14 and 23.
At this point, we took Fionn out of the investigation. Despite knowing her age, the comments she got from other users were of a much more sexual nature, mainly from boys. One of them had asked for her mobile phone number. We gave him an office number and he sent 24 texts within 3 days, some of them in the early hours of the morning. We'll be passing his details on to police. What would you be doing to try to help the people there who are struggling so much to find work?
Well, I think there are two things. First of all, people who are in work, we've got to try and keep them in work.
So, for ordinary people watching this, are tax rises for them, in your view, inevitable?
I'd love to be able to avoid that. I'm going to work very hard to try and avoid those tax rises on middle-income people.
We've heard only in the last few days Gordon Brown telling his MPs that the election is very much winnable, and we've heard Labour saying that all the Conservatives are offering is an age of austerity. What would you say to that?
Well, if anyone is bringing about an age of austerity, it is Gordon Brown.
Let's get some more on our top story now, and the proposals for a new high-speed rail link linking London with Scotland that would go through Manchester and cut journey times between Manchester and the capital vastly. With me is Richard Critchley from the Greater Manchester Chamber of Commerce. Richard, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. The idea of these plans is to cut congestion on the railway lines. How much of a problem is that sort of congestion for business? Education is paid for by all of us with our taxes. Aren't tests just a way of us checking we're getting value for money, really, making sure that schools are coming up to scratch? How aware are students of what sort of things they need to be looking at, do you think? Because for a lot of them, this is maybe the first time not only they've lived away from home, but also the first time they've had to sort out their own accommodation as well. The Prince in particular was keen to speak to those enthusiasts who keep the old engines working. This museum is home to one of the world's largest collections of working steam engines, one of the oldest energy technologies that was developed, and the Prince has used his visit here to address scientists looking at new energy sources. Here at Manchester Airport, flights were cancelled from early this morning. Snow completely covering the runway, planes simply unable to move, and so too the passengers. Well, here we are just outside Saddleworth. It's -4 here at the moment, and the farm that we're heading to is probably a mile or so that way, if that. but this is as far as the Jeep will come with all of this snow, so the rest of the journey is going to be on foot.
It's been hard, like, we had to cart hay up the roads, so it's like we've not been able to, like, get vehicles up and down the road, so it's been hard work.
There we are. I did one, he did the other 5. This must go berserk at different times depending what the weather's been like.
We spend a lot of our time trying to control the plant and make it do what we want it to do, hence all this pruning, and Mother Nature wants it to do something completely different, and there's an awful lot of toing and froing going on.
We'll win.
Well, I think Mother Nature in the end always wins.
Salford's been a Labour stronghold since the 1940s. This was the state of the parties in 2005. Labour polling almost 58%. This year, the constituency is bigger, taking in Eccles as well, another area that's voted Labour for decades. 9 candidates are expected to stand, including 3 independents.
If it was just a protest, I personally wouldn't be interested in standing.
Over to James, who's got a story that is going quackers about.
Thank you very much indeed. Yes, if you're looking ahead to Easter Monday and still don't have any plans, here's a suggestion for you. Every year, Lim Round Table organise a charity duck race, not real ducks, but plastic ones, of course. It attracts people from miles around, and we've been along to find out why.
Where do you love in the UK to go on holiday?
Where?
If you had to choose somewhere in the UK.
I had a great holiday on the Norfolk Broads once.
Did you know?
It was really nice. On a boat, very calm, just trundling... What are you laughing at?
Just the way you say it.
Yeah. Trundling along on a little canal boat, really relaxing. You can't go fast because you're on a boat and there's a speed limit. You can just lay on the top, in the sun, reading your book. Very relaxing. Love it. Those are today's headlines, and that was the lunchtime news. Much more on all those stories with Andy Crane in the evening news from 5 tonight. But from me and all the lunchtime team, have a very good afternoon. Bye-bye for now.